Welcome to Walk with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 6. And this is going to be an angel speaking. Then he answered and spoke unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel. I can't pronounce that name, sorry. Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by the Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. And I'm going to repeat that. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. You know, a lot of people will interpret it that it is great to have earthly power and earthly might, that such people like kings and conquerors have achieved mighty great victories by their own might and by their own power. But that's not true at all. It's very much a lie. And that's not at all what this meaning is, because right here what he's telling you is that not by your own might, nor by your own power, but by the Spirit of the God. See, God gives all things its power, its strength, and by might. In fact, as we look very closely into the scripture and the verses, you'll pay attention to where even Nebuchadnezzar got all prideful and arrogant and stood out on the balcony, even having straight communication with God a year before, only a year. And he was told in a dream that he would be prideful and arrogant and it'll be his very downfall. But oh, how do we forget? For only just a year later, he stood upon that very balcony after being pre-warned. And he sat there and he announced it. Look what I have done. Look at what I have conquered. Look at all that I have accomplished. And because he acknowledged himself and gave himself the glory, he soon learned the truth. He had to spend the next 7 years being like a wild animal, eating grass, roaming around naked, looking a fool, looking like he needed to be institutionalized and crazy, until he knew and confessed with his mouth that God is the one and only who gives us the ability to do any and everything. Satan, Absalom, both got very prideful and arrogant in their beauty and ended up being their very downfall. We see many great people in this world that seems to get on top and they start boosting and gloating and calling themselves the GOAT and look at me and look what I have accomplished. And then what do you know? The next thing, they're gone. Something happens, they're no longer the great person no more. See, because they failed to realize it wasn't by themselves that they have got to where they got, or how they was able to do the things that they was able to do. It was because God gave them the ability to do so. All of our gifts and talents, whether they're spectacular or not, or something just, that you just have the ability to wash cars very good, or to build houses very good. And a lot of those things don't get recognized with such abilities as somebody who could sing very great, or play football very great. It doesn't matter. What it is, if you start boasting and being prideful and being very proud that you're the one who accomplished all things, God will very quickly, whether you are a child of him or not, because you were all created by God, he will soon let you realize that you had nothing to do with it at all. That it was only because God gave you the ability to do so. So we got to remember, just as this angel was speaking, that it's not by your might, not by your power, but by the Spirit, but by the power of God. It tells us many times in this scripture that we better remain humble. and recognize and give God the glory, for all the glory does belong to God. You couldn't do anything if you wasn't created. You was created because God created you. And he created you the way that you are. Whether you like yourself or not, you have a purpose. There's a reason why you are. Whether you have great powers, whether you have great abilities, or you just have disabilities. You are something very important and very special to God. Whether the world knows about you or not, just remember that nobody is a nobody. Everybody is somebody, and somebody very important. So important to God that he knows you by name. That he makes sure that he remembers everything about you, every hair on your head, all that you say and do. You will always be important, and he puts you here for a reasoning. And even if you don't never see it, or never come to the realization or to understand just who you are and who you was meant to be in this world, remember that God does. And you are something of matter and importance to him. Every grain of sand matters in this world. Every piece of rock that holds up a mountain together matters. No matter how it looks. If it's different from all the other ones, each piece matters. And just because we matter, and just because we are something and somebody to him, doesn't mean that we can boast and gloat about who we are and think that we are better than somebody else. Because see, that one who's disability, who has problems, is equally loved by the one that is a famous football player, or the one that can sing really good. And to God, you're both equally his. One is not more important than the other. One is not more greater than the other. And both are very beautiful in the eyes of God. He tells you that you are all equal. No one is better than anybody. Nobody is more important than the other person. And everybody matters to God. Who cares what the world thinks? And if you keep on going by what the world thinks, you're going to be in a world of hurt, and the world is going to be awakening. Because God will make them realize just who God is and what he says. So remember, before every downfall, pride came first. Be humble.